Amy.
Hi, this is Jaime. Amy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi,
we're
Kelly.
all here.
Hi, guys. Hi, Jaime.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Jaime.
I'm Amy, and this is Clever. Today, we're talking to the renowned and glamorous interior designer, Kelly Wearstler. Actually, she's much more than an interior designer. She's grown the Kelly Wearstler empire into a global lifestyle brand that encompasses lighting, furniture, home accessories, jewelry, residential and commercial interiors, as well as curated objet d'art that she hunts for around the world.
You might be familiar with some of her statement boutique hotel designs like the Avalon Beverly Hills. She's released 4 books, including Modern Glamour, The Art of Unexpected Style, and most recently, Rhapsody. She's been recognized for her work by magazines such as Elle Decor, Wallpaper, and Architectural Digest, plus Vogue, as her fashion statements are as bold and stylish as her interiors. And she tells us all about her dreamy closet.
She's also a hockey mom, wife, and all-around hardworking and lovely person. So let's talk to Kelly Wearstler.
My name is Kelly Wearstler, and I live in Los Angeles. I'm a designer. I design interiors, furniture, lighting, bedding, fabric, all sorts of fun, amazing products. I'm a mom and a wife and an animal lover. And I'm super, super curious.
Ooh, I love that.
We are too, so we've got lots of questions for you.
Yes. We built this whole podcast on curiosity, so yeah.
So let's start at the very beginning. What was your childhood like? Where'd you grow up? What was your family dynamic?
Well, I grew up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was a incredible childhood. It was really loving, very supportive. It was somewhat strict. My mom and dad were really about creating an incredible work ethic. My dad was actually an engineer, and my mom, I guess you would say, was a closet designer. So our house was always kind of in flux, and things were always changing and being moved around. And so there was always this kind of creative spark at the house.
Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have a sister. Her name is Tammy. She's so wonderful, and we're only 11 months apart. We're the same age for a month. And I had very young parents. My parents were 17 and 18 when they had my sister and I. So they were kids too. So it's great having young parents, full of energy, always, up for something fun and exciting and new.
That does sound like a pretty awesome childhood. Where does the strong work ethic come from?
There's really strong women in my family. We would come from a working class. My 2 grandmothers both worked. My one grandmother on my father's side, who had 3 children, worked in a factory, the same factory, for 50 years and had her 3 children and was an amazing mom. And then my mother's mother was also an amazing, strong woman. She worked at a law firm, again, for 50 years. And my mother, she's always worked. And so just having strong women and, a great work ethic and, just you're your own person. You're the person that's going to make things happen in your life, and you have to go out and do it.
Wow. So with an engineer for a dad and a closeted designer for a mom in a household that was always in flux, did that sort of spark your creativity? And then did your parents support that in you? How did it start to show up in your childhood?
I was always drawing, and I loved looking at books and, again, just being, a curious child. When we would have family come to our house during the holidays, I would set up, I created this thing called the bunny shop, and I would make things from egg cartons, and I would draw photos and make little 3-dimensional sculptures, and I would color, and I would lay them out on a table, and I would put little prices next to them, and it was called the bunny shop. And I literally would prepare like weeks ahead. So, I was like in the retail business before I even knew it. It was a shopkeeper. And it's so cute. Every birthday, my mother sends me things from the bunny shop. and it's hilarious. And my boys, we just love it. It's so cute.
Oh, I bet it's fun for your boys to see those relics from your childhood, too, to kind of put those generations together.
Yeah, it's sweet, really sweet.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's adorable. Were there any childhood challenges that you felt like you had to overcome? Any sort of real character builders that you had to get through?
No, I mean, I was pretty even keel, I guess you would say. I loved working. I loved doing things, and I've always been this way. I'm not best at not having a lot of things to do. I find things to do. You know, when I was 12 years old, I set up a little business of babysitting, and I wanted to make business cards, and because in Myrtle Beach, there's tons of hotels there. So I had these business cards made, and then I would take them to the local hotels and offer, you know, my babysitting services. So I've worked forever. And then at 13, I worked in a little cafe. I mean, now, God, you can't do that. But then I was, you know, working. And then my mom and my stepdad had restaurants, and I worked in those restaurants. And so just, you know, love working and meeting people and all that.
Oh, that's so fascinating. Did you enjoy food service?
Yes, I did. You know what? I still am pretty shy. I work on it every day, being a little more breaking out of my shell. But, you know, when I was younger, I was actually painfully shy. And so working in a restaurant and interacting with the customers every day really helped. And, yeah, I loved it. I loved meeting new people from, you know, all over and having conversations and learning about new things. Yeah, and I did it actually all through college and after college. And it was a, you know, way for me to support my business and to pay for college and all that.
I know you're talking a lot about working, but at what point did you really discover creativity? Was it when you started creating all the things for the bunny shop and then you were like, hey, I actually really enjoy making these things and coloring? Or was it a little bit later when you were maybe in high school?
I went to a public high school in South Carolina, and I mean, my favorite class was art, and it was like the only class that just seemed like it just lasted like a minute. It went by so fast. And so I always knew that I wanted to do something creative. And my family, you know, they would go to auctions. There would be different thrift stores and things that I would love going to with my mom. And so just going to, you know, just different auctions, I would explore. And I loved looking at just sculpture and old magazines and just records and things you would see at flea markets and auctions. And I was still drawing and making, you know, things from paper and things in middle school and high school. And then, you know, when it was time to decide what I wanted to do and where to go to school, definitely wanted to leave South Carolina. And I knew Boston, you know, was a great college town, and there were incredible colleges and just a really great international city because I, you know, was in South Carolina and it's, you know, small. So I applied to Massachusetts College of Art and was accepted. I remember spending the whole summer creating this portfolio, and I remember flying up there, and I was so nervous and presented my portfolio to the school, and I got in, and I was just beyond excited.
I assume that you grew up in a smaller town, so now you're in this big city. What was that like?
It was amazing. You know, I wasn't exposed to a lot of museums in South Carolina, and I hadn't been to Europe before. And so just going to the city and seeing all this amazing architecture and all these incredible museums and vintage clothing stores and thrift stores and just all this stuff, it was just a dream. I was having the best time.
Did it just make your head explode? It must have been so exciting to sort of have your horizons broadened so quickly.
I mean, it was, you know, it was incredible. And, you know, when I got there, because I paid my way through school, so the first thing I did, I actually went the summer before school started just so I could get acclimated and get an apartment and get situated. And I got a job waitressing at a restaurant called Ciao Bella, which is on Newberry Street. That was really incredible, just meeting all these different kids from all over the world and building these really great, strong friendships. And, you know, I would go to school during the day, and then I would come back to my apartment. I would do work. I would go to Chabela. I would work at night. And then I would go back to my studio space at night and probably get home at like 2 in the morning, and just did that constantly, just over and over. And I loved it. It was fun. It was hard, but it was fun.
So what was your major? What did you specialize in?
My first year, I actually majored in graphic design, and I love typography and I love graphics. And that's probably where my love of pattern came through. But I did that for a year, and then I just decided that I really wanted to explore things. I love, three-dimensionality. I love architecture. So I took a course in architecture, studied that with interior design.
Did you feel like you got a great education there? Did you have a full rounded experience with lots of friends and experimental broadening situations? And did you feel like you got to really learn your own voice in terms of your creativity there? Or did that come later?
I always followed my heart, and I still do. You just have to go with your intuition and what you feel. But it was such a incredible experience for me just to see so many things that, I'd never seen before. I would spend a lot of time in Boston, but then I would also go to New York for a weekend, maybe every few months, and explore that city and the architecture and the museums and the flea markets and all those vintage stores, which were incredible. It was really educational, social, and, just a beautiful time for me.
When you were at college, were there any particular teachers or mentors, or did you intern for anybody that inspired you in any way or shaped kind of where you went with your career?
We had the opportunity for an internship, and there was a artist and interior designer, and he actually does graphic design. His name's Milton Glazier.
Oh, yes, that's a big name.
He was in New York, so I applied for an apprenticeship. So it was during the course of the summer. The beauty of that experience is he does graphic design, but he also does interior design. And he has such a voice, a specific voice, and super unique. So I went there for the summer, and that was really great.
Wow, I bet that was incredible.
Yeah, I know. It was awesome.
What a cool opportunity.
They only accepted, I think, 4 students every semester. So I, again, prepared my portfolio and put tons of work into it and was accepted. And I was beyond thrilled.
That sounds amazing.
Totally.
Let's fast forward a couple of years. I'm really curious that you worked in the film industry for a little bit. What was that like?
Well, actually, while I was in Boston, there was a movie that was being filmed there. And I thought that maybe, for some reason, I knew I was always going to end up in California. I didn't know anyone in California. I just loved how it looked and the weather, which was very similar to South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And so there was a movie that was being filmed during the summer. And so I applied to work in kind of the art department. I ended up getting a position as a production assistant. I really was exposed to, because it was a smaller movie, but I was really exposed to all the different aspects of working on a film. I made probably 1,000 cappuccinos. That was really what I did. So it was a fun experience. And then I thought maybe I would want to work in the art department, be a production designer. I really decided I want to do interior design and work in architect. So it was very short-lived, but it was fun.
Yeah, and I can kind of see the sense of drama, even though, you're not in the film industry, but having had that experience, I wonder if that has some, subconscious contribution to the way that you design, because your spaces are just, they emanate this quality of Hollywood and excitement and a set.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, maybe. I never actually really thought about that, but the kind of the voice of my work, it's I love pattern, I love color, and I think a lot of that comes from just my love of graphic design and decorative arts. But I love Hollywood. I love movies. I'm inspired by movies. It's fantasy. It's creating an experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's something beautiful.
So you started Kelly Wearstler Interior Design in the mid-90s, right?
Yes.
Did you have any sense that it would become what it is today, such an empire that you've built?
I don't know if I use the word empire. I always have had big dreams and goals. And again, I didn't know exactly what direction I was going in terms of, again, graphic design or architecture or design. But I knew that it was going to be in the design world. And just I've always been, really driven. It just kind of just happened organically and over time. I knew I for sure wanted to be my own boss. I'm definitely a perfectionist, and I love being in control and doing things in totality. And when I moved out to Los Angeles, I had one friend who I actually had met in Boston. He had a friend that had a house that they just bought, and they needed help with their dining room. So I said, sure, I'll do it. And so I did the dining room, and they loved it. And then I ended up doing the entire house. And then somebody came over and saw their house. And then I got another job. And then it grew from there.
Oh, that's so organic.
Yeah.
And it is. It's word of mouth and doing, of course, you want to, do a great job. And, but yeah, it was total, organic growth for sure.
Those first couple of jobs, were you on a shoestring budget, or did you have the good fortune of having clients who had some money to spend so you could really do your best work?
It was shoestring budget for sure. I would get up on Sunday at 5 a.m. I would go to the flea market and I would find all these amazing finds. I would have my flashlight, go to Rose Bowl, Pasadena City College, all these great, flea markets. And literally I would have like this cart, and I would put the chair, ask the guy who I bought the chair from, put it in the cart, and then load it in my car. And so I was like doing everything, delivery, procurement, curating, the whole thing. But that's where you start. And it was so fun. It was like just finding that, diamond in the rough at the flea market and bringing all the treasures back to the client.
What is it that appeals to you so much about the treasures at the flea market? I know for me personally, I really like that they come with sort of pre-existing histories, that they've already been used and loved, and they live through a different time period than I have, and that makes them feel like they have depth and soul. What appeals to you about these finds?
I like the discovery, and I love just being curious and looking for just something beautiful and something unique, and finding those incredible anomalies that maybe something was done by an artist that nobody knows, and he could be just as good as Picasso, and just discovering and training my eye and educating my eye, and all of it is it's so fun. I mean, I still love it. I don't go to the flea market as much because I am a hockey mom and I have to get up early and go to hockey games. But it's the best thing in the world, just in search of something beautiful, and maybe that you've never seen before. Maybe it's something you have seen before, but it's in another color, or it's been reinvented.
Have you trained your eye to the point where you can just like walk up and down the aisles pretty quickly and like just scan everything, and you can see something out of the corner of your eye and be like, that's it?
I am so fast. I can go into a store and just look around and take pictures, see what is special and unique, and beyond to the next, for sure. It's educating your eye. And, for example, if I send, say, a junior designer to a shop and ask them whether it's contemporary or it's a vintage store, and I ask them to take photos of furniture or lighting, and they come back with things that are very kind of somewhat common, and I'll go back to the store maybe a week later, and there's some really incredible things there. And it's just having educated my eye. And I love things that are unique and the anomalies in the world, and love using those in my designs. It's special. I like things that feel fresh and new. And so, it's interesting.
You're known, among other things, for kind of shaping the course of boutique hotel design. And I live in Los Angeles, and I remember the Avalon Beverly Hills being a very exciting project. For me, it was just an exciting place to visit. I even had my bridal shower there. Was that your first hospitality project? And if it was, can you talk about how that came about and your process?
So yes, it was my first hospitality project. And how I got this is kind of a interesting story. When I moved to LA and I was starting my interior design business, and I swore when I actually left Boston that I'm so done with waiting on tables and I'm ready to move on and create something for myself. When I got to LA, lo and behold, I had to pay my rent, so I had to get a waiting tables job, and I did. But something amazing happened. This girl, Marcy, who's actually a very good friend of mine, she was an actress, and she also waited tables at this restaurant. She started going out with this guy. I guess they were dating. It turned out that I was introduced to this guy who just moved here from Chicago, and he was in the real estate business. So I started doing work with him. He was acquiring some of these like vintage and historic apartment buildings. And so I would go in and give new fresh paint colors, do something interesting in these lobbies, install really beautiful lighting. It turned out that this person had just found a hotel, which was the Avalon Hotel, an incredible mid-century hotel that was built in the 1950s. And so I said to him, I've been doing all this work and you guys, have been so happy. Can I please have the opportunity to do the design of this hotel? So, of course, there's a group of investors. They said, okay, you do a model room, because when you do a hotel, you have to do a model room and you have to establish what it's going to look like. Mm-hmm. And everyone, of course, has to agree, because before you go and buy hundreds of, chairs and beds and tables, you have to make sure that it's functional, it looks beautiful, it's, ready to go. And so when I did the model room, all the investors loved it. So I got the job, which was so exciting.
Oh, yeah, that must have been super exciting. Yeah.
I brought in an architect who had done a hotel before, and I found Koning Eisenberg, an awesome architectural firm in Santa Monica. They were really great. I learned so much from them, and it was just really such a pleasure.
Was that job ever so big that it was scary, or were you just thrilled the whole time?
There's a difference between shopping and curating a residential project as opposed to doing a hotel project, because there are different vendors and fabricators. There are different codes that you have to design around. So it was, just looking back, it was really, really challenging, but it was fun. It was just an incredible learning experience, and creating something that so many people can experience and enjoy is just, wonderful.
Well, I was going to ask you about the experience that you created, because the Avalon Beverly Hills is one hotel, but I actually had my bridal shower there, I mentioned, but then I had my wedding at what's now the Avalon Palm Springs. I'm not married anymore, but the wedding was amazing. And that was particularly because the sense of space that was created. First of all, the architecture, the bones of the resort were really good and really worked for what I wanted for the wedding. But then you added this level of glamour and drama and tranquility that just really created this ambiance that was astounding. So thank you. I had a wonderful time.
That's so nice. Thank you.
I wonder, when you start a space like that, you're creating an environment, which is a collection of individual elements, but they have to work as a whole. What are your primary goals in creating an environment like that? That
property was really unique because part of it was from the 20s. There are these little Spanish bungalows. And then there was another section that was built, as kind of like a motel-style unit that was built in the 60s. And you have this incredibly diverse architecture on one property. So really, to create one cohesive experience is really just establishing a voice to the property. And, I wanted it to feel, Palm Springs, it's so hot there. I looked at the coloring, there's beautiful lemon trees that are on the property, keeping it really light and crisp, playing into that kind of citron yellow. And we had these certain graphics that were used to kind of bring the different architectural voices together. I wanted it to feel like Palm Springs, this lush landscaping. We used a wall covering in some of the bungalows that was just a black and white silhouette of branches. So the inside outside has this great dialogue. And really it's about storytelling. As soon as you walk into the lobby, you're setting the tone for your experience. It's going to be, at the property.
So your studio churns out all kinds of amazing design work. You mentioned some of it at the top of the show, but can you elaborate a little bit about all of the goodness that's flowing out of the Kelly Wearstler brand?
Sure. We do interior design and residential, which I love, and commercial. And within commercial, we do hotels and we also do retail projects. We also design furniture, lighting, fabrics, wall covering, dinnerware, rugs, many different bedding. We're actually launching bedding, which is amazing. So many different types of products. It's the best to have that in your day. I can go from designing a residential project into the next few hours I'm in a furniture design charrette, and it's just this amazing cross-pollination that happens. My day goes by in like 5 minutes.
Do you have a particular product or part of your design that you like the best? Do you like to design products or textiles, or do you prefer interiors?
I love it all. I really do. It sounds cliche, but I truly love everything because the beauty of my work is I get to touch so many mediums, and it just keeps me on my toes.
Well, it seems like there's never a dull moment, so it keeps you going every day. How big is your team at this point?
My team is about 46 people. In the actual studio in West Hollywood, there are 38 designers, and then I have a warehouse downtown, and then I have the flagship boutique. So altogether, it's about 48 to 50 people.
That's impressive. So what kind of a boss are you?
Oh,
How would your employees answer that question?
I would say, I'm a great listener, and I think that's really important. I really love having fun, and I love the office energy to be really great and positive. I'm serious about my work. I work really hard, but I also want to have a great time doing it and grow and learn from all this talent that's at my studio. And I really enjoy all the people that work there. And it's a team effort. It really is. And we all learn from one another because many of us have different skill sets. We'll have a graphic designer. We have a architect, interior designers, furniture designers, painters, all over. And we all learn from each other. And it's great to go up to them and say, actually, can you come over here and look at this? What do you think? And just getting feedback and growing.
So I have a couple of follow-up questions. You've mentioned already that you're a perfectionist and that you're shy. Do either of those influence how you manage your employees?
I would say, I'm more of, a perfectionist in terms of, I want to have, the end product be the best it can be.
High standards.
Yeah, and, it's a service business that I'm in, and I'm here to make the client's experience, the final outcome, the absolute best it can be. And so I just expect to have people, just in the studio who absolutely have a passion just like I do and work hard to have the best possible outcome.
Nice.
And so shy, and pertain to shy, I would say, I do not like confrontation.
Okay.
I do not like dealing with human resource issues.
Right.
I just like being happy and, creative. But, stuff comes up and you deal with it the best way you can. And, everyone grows from all these experiences.
Absolutely.
So I'm very curious. I follow you on Instagram, and you always post really beautiful, inspirational images. And I'm interested in your creative process because I feel like your style is so incredibly unique and so you. But I'd love to know where you're getting your ideas from. Are they coming from just the flea market or nature, or, how do you get inspired?
Everything. It really is going to the museum it's being aware. It's being aware of your surroundings. I mean, you could be in downtown LA sitting on a bench somewhere and really looking at the architecture and somebody walking by and it's like, oh, they got a cool outfit on. Oh, those colors they have on are so cool. I love that. So it's just being aware. I have a library at home and I've been collecting new and vintage books since high school. So that is a huge source of my inspiration. I do like Pinterest, although I love books. I think, if somebody just stays on Pinterest, then everything starts looking alike. So I think you have to be really careful of that. I love history. I love contemporary design, modern art. I love sketching. And sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll have an idea of something. And so I'll sketch. I'll take it to the office. We'll work on, whatever this idea may be. And I also love going to workshops. I love going to a metal factory. I love going to a stone yard. You become a better designer when you see how things are made, how things are put together.
Oh, I so agree. I'm so happy to hear you say that.
Yeah, going to a foundry, seeing how things are cast, just going to where, rugs are made. And that's how you can find your own voice, is when you know how something is put together, you truly can just keep pushing it. And so that's my creative process in a nutshell.
So of all the types of projects that you do, which ones are the most challenging, but, in a growth-oriented way? Which ones sort of make you push yourself and broaden yourself?
I guess you would say all projects are challenging because you want to create something new, and creating something new that maybe nobody's seen or that it's something new for a client. I love my residential clients to have a voice and to be super involved in the project because they are my inspiration and they push me to try things that maybe I wasn't interested in. Or, we have a client we're working on now. It's incredibly minimal, and it's all about materiality and architecture and statement pieces. And yes, that's challenging, but it's so awesome. But again, the client is the inspiration.
I'm fascinated to hear you talk about where you get all your inspiration and how you love to visit the flea markets, and you have these laser beam eyes that you can really hone in on what's unique and interesting to you. And I wonder if you're picking up, influences from all over with so many antennae. How do you feel about knockoffs and appropriation versus sort of celebration and attribution? And more specifically, how do you think members of the design industry can support each other in protecting their original designs?
Yeah, knockoffs can be incredibly annoying, and I really don't take offense to it. Everything has been done. It really has. But it's putting your spin on it and your stamp on it. When we design something, I do that design and I move on. And I don't have a formula. I think you have to keep surprising your audience. In terms of knockoffs, it really is hard to protect yourself, especially in the world of Pinterest and social media, and everything is so accessible, which then things can get quickly gentrified. And, we have people that come to, do interviews for positions at the studio, and I see so many people have the same images, and it all has come from Pinterest. And it just all starts looking the same. And when you have somebody that comes in who has a truly unique spirit and design vibe, it truly stands out. So if you do have that and you are knocked off, you just move on to the next. It's like you just keep going.
Just consider it a compliment and move forward?
Yeah, just keep forging along, and you can protect yourself. You can have things copywritten and their trademarks, but it's still, really, really difficult. We've had issues with some of our patterns, but, you just keep going. You can't get, super bummed out about it.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. We've talked to a couple of designers who have said something similar where, the best way to fight knockoffs is to keep designing something new and fresh because they need to keep up with that. And you always should be like one step ahead.
It's a disservice to them for copying. People should try and create your own voice and your own spirit, and that's how you're going to excel in the design world.
I agree with that. I think there's a flip side to that, though, which is in a small boutique manufacturing situation. If there's a lot invested in overhead and R&D, and that product is their bread and butter, and it gets knocked off, and their bread and butter gets pulled out from underneath them, it can shut down a business. That's one of the real dangers of knockoffs. But it's one of those evils that you really just have to get very adept at steering around, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and it's in any business. It's in the food business. It's in fashion. It's just part of the world we live in, and you just have to forge ahead.
So in terms of your business growing, you're doing so many different kinds of design work. And I feel like in the past couple of years, I've seen all these new products and new, collections coming out of your design brand. Have you ever felt like it was just moving too fast? And how have you handled this explosion of growth?
Yes, of course. Sometimes it seems like it's moving super fast and like, holy shit. I have so much to do today, but there's so many cool opportunities that excite me. And I've made mistakes by doing too much, and you just get in this, it's like your days are so hectic and frantic, and it can be stressful. So I really try and manage like the projects, that we take on. But it's so fun, and I'm so passionate about it. You want to keep doing more. So I'm trying to maintain, a good balance. But yeah, it can be challenging for sure.
I have a personal business question. I'm just going to use this podcast to get advice for free. So I run the blog Design Milk, and I have people working with me, but I'm still kind of the funnel or the bottleneck for everything. And, you own your own business, and the business is your name, right? You kind of are the brand. Is there a way that you've been able to manage still keeping your hands in everything and yet being able to grow?
That's such a good question. It really is. I have gone through that in the last 5 years. There still is a bottleneck, but it's actually gotten better. And really giving my team, the people that you bring on to do a job, the chance to shine and not to micromanage, and I have in the past, like micromanaged, and of course, that's not good. And really giving my talented team the chance to shine, and you'll be so surprised. And then you just give them more accountability and more challenges. And you see, like, beautiful things will happen.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. There's probably a lot of designers that are listening who are in the situation where they've created a design studio under their name, and they're trying to figure out how to take it to the next level without, overdoing it or giving themselves too much pressure or too much work. And, it can be a challenge to expand your own business if you are the person who's constantly having to approve everything.
It does. It takes a village. It really does to make things happen. And you hire and bring on a talented team, and you need to just give them the wings and let them go. It can be a little scary, and mistakes happen. As people continue to forge along, it'll just get easier and easier.
So I think, in general, if you give people a chance to impress you, they're going to do their best to impress you. But there is going to be like a learning curve, especially with new employees, while they get the feel for how you operate and what your style is. And as a boss, do you feel like you just have to be patient through that learning curve?
You have to communicate, and you have to teach people along the way. And things that, for example, we're working on a project right now, and the team suggested all these, really beautiful light fixtures for this project that were designed. I'm like, you guys, it's going to be so expensive. I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but it's going to be super expensive, and it's just super complicated. So you kind of have to pick your battles in terms of where you put focus and where you put the effort of the studio and also the money. And it's a balancing act. And so, yes, I really try and educate the team and mentor them and give them the tools to make better decisions, as long as they're at the studio and, leading also their team on projects.
So over the course of your career, you've won too many awards to mention. You've secured yourself as a household name in the design world. I'm wondering if there is an award, an acknowledgement, an accolade, or something that means the most to you. Maybe it happened at the right time in your career when you needed a boost. Maybe it was the one thing that like validated you when you weren't feeling the best, or maybe it was the thing that was a big break. It opened a new door for you. Is there something that stands out as the most important award?
You know, I don't know if it's an award, but the first time one of my projects was published in the magazine was so incredible. And it was an Elle decor. And this is when everyone was doing shabby chic and everyone had like the iron beds and everything was white. And I was doing color and mixing different periods of furniture and was recognized for just following my heart and doing something that I just felt was true to my vision was so amazing. And then most recently, I was awarded the International Designer of the Year Award with Spanish AD, which was such a huge honor because it's just one of my favorite magazines. I think it's so inspirational. I get so excited every month getting it in the mail and online. I get both. And the people were so amazing. They just treated me like a queen, and I was there for about 4 days. It was really, really special, really special.
I'm wondering what aspect of your work, other than, you know, outside validation, awards and accolades, gives you the most sense of purpose and fulfillment that helps you sleep at night so content with the contribution you're making to society?
Seeing people in the spaces I designed, I would say. Seeing people interact in the spaces, whether it's a hotel or a residential project. And, you know, I was just in New York and shooting a project that we designed a townhouse that we worked on for about 4 years. And so the clients were there. And I said, you know, do you love the house? You know, if I could have done something different, what would have been? Is there things that you're not using? Because it's great to ask those questions because it just makes you, you know, you learn from every experience. And they were just so appreciative and just said, we absolutely love it. And, you know, moments like that are just so special. So just having happy clients and customers, that is, you know, the best.
I think that is my favorite aspect of just being able to like create a space that other people get to interact with and that enhances their life. It's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
What stresses you out? Because, you know, obviously we have life stressors, you know, stressors as a parent, stressors as business owners. What is like the most stressful thing for you?
The most stressful thing for me is trying to do it all. It really is. You have to make compromises. There are things you miss out on. You know, managing my family, who come first and foremost, and work. You know, I'm a hockey mom, and my boys also are in a band, and they surf and just do so many activities. And so I really am there for them. I drive them on the weekends. My husband and I, they're on 2 different teams. And then I have work I have to do. And so just managing all that can be definitely hectic, and it gets frantic, and you get stressed. And, of course, there's, like, beautification, exercise, eating right, getting my hair and nails done. You know, it's so much stuff. A working mom, you know, you unfortunately miss out on some things. But at the end of the day, I want my boys to see me happy and fulfilled and, you know, all different parts of my life. And also, you know, the hard work, you know, pays off.
I'm stressed out listening to you. I'm overwhelmed. It's too much,
exhausting.
Kelly. It's too much.
I sleep well.
I just hate the question, you know, how do you do it all? Because, you know, we never ask that to men. Of course, we only ask the women, how do you do it all? But it is exhausting. You know, I have a daughter, I have a family, I have a business, I have a podcast, and there's a lot, and you do have to make compromises. And I appreciate that you said that out loud, because if anybody's listening, you can't do it all.
Yeah, it's impossible. It really is. It's impossible. But, you know, you do the best you can.
Well, your best is pretty fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
You know, we always on this podcast, we delve into the personal life a little bit. I am guessing, just to kind of pull this story around into a circle, that real estate developer that you met when your career was getting going, is that also your husband and the father of your kids?
Yes. That's the beautiful thing that happened when I had to go back waiting tables so sadly when I came to Los Angeles is I got the job, and the girl that trained me, my friend, she actually introduced me to my husband.
Oh, wow.
I worked in that restaurant for like 6 months. It was really rough, but, something beautiful happened. I met my husband.
Yeah. Sometimes the most difficult situations yield the prettiest flowers out of the weeds.
Absolutely. That's so well said.
Are you a spiritual or religious person?
I would say I'm more spiritual. I love traditions of religion. I love celebrating many of the religious holidays, and our family celebrates many of them. It's about being a good person, helping others. I love animals, giving back. I always tell my boys, I'm like, you have to make sure you do something really nice to somebody every day, and just kind of always having that in the back of your head, being thoughtful and caring.
So I can't let you go without asking at least one fashion question, because your style is as glamorous and as unexpected as the work that you put out in interiors.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to know, how do you manage your closet at home? Do you have like a giant walk-in where everything's like organized and your shoes have Polaroids on the shoe boxes, or what happens there?
Well, I would say, again, organization is like super, super important. But my closet is actually I'm sitting in my closet now. It's kind of my little like girl cave, I guess you would call it. I come in here, I like sit on the floor, and it's like quiet. So it's like a long and narrow closet, and there are 3 skylights. So you have amazing light, and the skylights have UV protection, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to fade my clothes. But anyway, so it has UV protection. All of my shoes are exposed because shoes are my weakness, and they are little sculptures.
Oh, you always have great shoes.
And everything is put together by color. So say my pink shoes are all together and my black shoes. So everything is color coordinated in one area.
This is closet porn right now. I'm feeling like I'm having a physical reaction to this. Keep going.
And then all of my drawers, I probably have in this closet, probably like 60 drawers, and they're only about 4 to 6 inches high, because when you open the drawer, you're in a hurry and you want to see just all the shit that's in the drawer.
So just one layer of stuff.
Yeah, it's super easy, and everything's labeled on the inside of the drawer, so it doesn't look messy from the outside. All my hats are together. I collect parasols, because I try and protect myself from the sun. So I have these UV protected parasols that I get in Japan. So I love parasols. I have a little collection of parasols. My handbags and clutches are all segregated in one area, and they're divided with these glass panels so you can see through them. The visibility of all the handbags is much easier. And what else?
I love everything about what you're saying. I love everything about it.
I have lots of hooks and things for, when I have fashion drama and everything's on the floor and I don't want to leave a mess. So I throw everything on the hooks. And that's about it. It's just super organized.
I love the 1-layer drawers. I think everything should be like that. And the glass organization so that you can still see, but you can keep things separate and you can stack things on top of each other. Everything about that just totally appeals to me.
And I have, too, like this one little area that was in the closet, and it was only about 4 inches deep. And so I built these shelves, and on these 4-inch deep shelves are all these like little bowls and little dishes that I have accumulated over my life. And in these little bowls and dishes are jewelry. So I'll have like earrings and rings, and I just open up this cabinet and it's like all there.
That's like my hardware cabinet. I love it.
So you can kind of just see everything at one, glance, and it looks pretty.
Awesome.
That sounds amazing. All right, I have to step up my closet game now.
We all do. We all do. You just set the bar really high. I'm excited. It's a challenge.
Okay, so before you mentioned bedding is something that's next. Is there anything else that you have coming up that you want to talk about?
We're actually designing a new brand of hotels. We have 4 in the works now. There's one in San Francisco, one in Austin, Texas, and then one in Santa Monica and downtown Los Angeles. The first one launches in San Francisco in early summer of next year.
Well, we will definitely keep an eye out for that. I split my time between LA and San Francisco, so I'll be interested to see when that new hotel opens in San Francisco. What are you calling it?
So it's Proper Hotel. It's going to be really awesome. Great design, great food and beverage, just, real cool experience.
Where is the best place for our listeners to keep up with you on social media and on the internet and learn all about everything that you're doing? Well,
we have a really great e-commerce site where, many of the products are for sale, and Instagram, which I love, Snapchat, also love, so fun, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all the different social media outlets. Well, it's been so lovely talking to someone who's so engaged with life and so curious, and you must have laser beams for eyes when you scour the globe for things that you find interesting and unique. Thank you so much for sharing your life and your stories with us. Oh, thank you, Amy. Thanks, Jaime. I appreciate it. Well, if you're ever in West Hollywood, please swing by the studio.
Oh, I would love
hi.
That. I would love to do a studio visit. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, you should. I love going to people's studios. It's so you see how they organize, for one, and you can just see, everything that goes down there.
I'm totally going to take you up on that.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Okay, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.
I'm so enamored. I think I love her a little bit more that she acknowledged to us that she's painfully shy. I don't know. That just makes her personality make a lot of sense, and it's very sweet. And I can just imagine that she's a very sensitive person, which sometimes we forget when somebody's so glamorous and has this very manicured and even chiseled persona that they present to the outside world. You can forget how sensitive they can be on the inside. And she was incredibly, she had a little sweet Southern little way about her that was so endearing, I found.
Yeah, it really was. And when you think about a brand like hers that has become so larger than life and feels bigger than just her, you forget sometimes that there is a human being behind this brand. And I think it was really great. And it just feels more approachable now that we've had that conversation with her.
And I have a lot of respect for her rigorous work ethic. I'm overwhelmed personally, all the stuff that she does every day and all the situations she gets herself in with so much high stimuli. It's provoking anxiety.
Yeah. And, we might forget that she gets up probably at 5 a.m. on Saturdays or Sundays and goes to hockey practice or drives her kids to their games and stuff like that. So, there's a lot more involved in her life than just the business itself. It
made a lot of sense to me, and I'm also very relieved that she's so organized, because I think the only way you can get through all of that chaos is to instill a sense of order.
To have 4 to 6 inch drawers in your closet.
Oh my God, how awesome was that closet porn? I was feeling like that was kind of a stupid, fluffy question, but then when she started going into it, I was like, oh, tell me more.
No, I really want to do MTV Cribs and just go into her closet.
Maybe we can try and hit her up for an image for our show notes from that closet.
Yeah, we can try to do that.
Oh, it sounds so awesome. And she was pretty candid about things like protecting herself from the sun. It's no secret that she's, very photogenic, and she's, model-esque and a presence in many of her photo shoots. I'm glad she doesn't try and downplay it. No, I woke up like this.
No, she talked about beautification and that's part of her life and an important aspect of her life. And yeah, she's a badass boss lady. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's all of these things. And she likes to take care of herself, and she still likes to look nice at the end of the day. And I think that's high five.
Yeah, totally. High five.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Clever on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and sign up for our newsletter, read the show notes, and see images of Kelly's work and her amazing closet on cleverpodcast.com.
And definitely connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Clever Podcast, because it's super fun to have a back and forth with you guys. This episode of Clever was edited by Chris Modal of Your Studio, with music by L1011.